It was supposed to be a harmless adventure there from his friends to walk through the forest at midnight. But now, standing alone beneath the towering, twisted trees, Ethan felt the weight of the silence pressing in on him. The moon, pale and distant, barely pierced the thick canopy above, casting thin, ghostly beams onto the forest floor. Every shadow seemed to shift, and the deeper he walked, the less the path resembled what he remembered. At first, it was the quiet that unnerved him. The forest was unnaturally still, no rustling of leaves, no calls from animals, just a heavy, oppressive silence. Then came the feeling, a crawling sensation that started at the back of his neck, as if unseen eyes were following his every move. Ethan quickened his pace, but the path twisted, turned, and branched in ways he couldn't recall. He tried retracing his steps, but the deeper he ventured, the more the trees seemed to crowd in around him, their gnarled branches twisting like skeletal fingers. Panic rose in his chest. He called out, but his voice was swallowed by the thick, dark woods, and the silence that followed was suffocating. Then he heard it, a soft sound, like distant footsteps, crunching on dead leaves. He stopped, holding his breath, straining to listen. The footsteps continued, slow and deliberate, coming closer. His heart pounded, and every instinct screamed at him to run. But where? He had no idea which direction would lead him out. Suddenly, from the corner of his eye, he saw a figure moving between the trees. It was small, about his height. Thinking it might be one of his friends playing a prank, Ethan shouted after them, but the figure didn't respond. Instead, it disappeared deeper into the woods, and against all reason, he followed. He stumbled through the undergrowth, branches scratching at his arms and legs, but no matter how fast he moved, the figure always stayed just ahead. The moonlight caught fleeting glimpses of it, a boy barefoot, wearing clothes that seemed too old for this time, torn and dirty. Ethan, the voice called, but it wasn't the voice of his friends. It was faint, cold, and hollow, like a memory long forgotten. He froze, the figure stopped, turning slowly to face him. Ethan's blood ran cold as he saw the boy's face, pale, sunken eyes, lips that seemed stitched into a twisted, unnatural smile. The boy whispered his name again, and this time Ethan felt it more than heard it, an echo inside his own mind, pulling him forward. His feet moved on their own, stepping toward the boy, the shadows round them growing darker, closing in. He tried to scream, but the forest swallowed his voice. The last thing he saw before the darkness consumed him was the boy's wide, empty eyes, pulling him deeper into the forest where no one ever returned.